Hey, if you like going to sporting events, you can get $20 off on your first purchase of using SeatGeek just by using the promo code JKS. And it's not just sporting events either, they do have tickets to concerts and to comedy events and things of that nature. Pretty much if it's in an arena, probably there's tickets on SeatGeek available for it. But you can get $20 off just using the promo code JKS just like that if it's your first time purchase, which is a pretty great deal, I think. If it's something you're interested in, the link is in the description below. And anyways, let's get back to talking about Kyler Murray. Obviously, when we're talking about rookies, we were most excited to see play in the preseason. I think Kyler Murray was definitely very high up on that list. I mean, after all, he was the first overall pick. Personally, I'm really glad the Cardinals made that decision to draft Kyler Murray, just simply because I think they're just a much more exciting team with Kyler Murray than they would have been with Josh Rosen. And I also thought that when Kyler Murray was out there, he was fun to watch. There was definitely excitement to be had. He ended up going 6 for 7, only 44 yards, but still pretty exciting. You know, that 6.3 yards per attempt, it's definitely on a little bit on the low end, but nothing bad. And, 6 for 7, that's definitely pretty good. But as we all know, statistics can only tell part of the story, so let's get into the actual film study. So let's start things off with this play. It's going to be a cover 3 zone, and the way this is going to work for the Cardinals is they do have a bunch formation on the top half of the screen, and the receivers are going to be running those routes right there. Actually, the route I'm going to want you to take a look at will be that route right there, because in theory, this could actually be a pretty good route to run. Especially since there's going to be 2 Cardinals who are running into that zone that's on the top half of the screen, that's further to the left side of the screen, further in. This now means that the Charger in that area is going to basically have to make a decision whether he's going to follow the one who's running deep or follow the receiver who's going to be cutting short. So for Murray, he can definitely look in that direction, and assuming the defensive back doesn't crash in and take away one of those routes, then in theory somebody should be open. And it's going to actually end up being the one that I have circled. So for Murray, he calmly steps back and he looks over and there is a receiver who's open. I mean, definitely that's where you want to throw the ball to. There are 2 Chargers in this area though, so again, there is some openings, but however, this is kind of a tough angle to make this throw. If Kyler Murray was standing all the way up to the top half of the screen, this is an easy throw that he can make all day. But again, he's standing in the middle of the field, so this is more of a tough angle to make this throw, but he still is able to make the throw and they get a completion out of it. That one's nothing too fancy. That was kind of more of a well-executed play by the Cardinals as a whole, but it still does go to show that, okay, this guy can make some traditional plays in the NFL. We all figured he would, but hey, plays like that kind of give you a little bit of confidence, and honestly, that's more of what being an NFL quarterback is making those plays than making the incredibly difficult plays. Pretty frequently, a play is going to work. You just have to be able to figure out how it did work and make the throw in that direction. Kyler Murray did, so good play by him there. There is also this next one. It's going to be a 3rd down and 3, and what the Chargers are doing is they're going to be playing cover 2 zone this time, and the way this is going to work actually for the Cardinals is to have their number 2 receiver running right over there, which can be a great way to beat cover 2. You're getting into that eye of the storm area in the middle of the field, and if no one's in that area, you can definitely make this throw. So for the Chargers, there actually is a way they can stop this. If one of their players in charge of taking away the midfield does end up going deep to make sure that he's covering that Cardinal who is trying to get open, then for the Cardinals, that's still fine, because they have their number 1 receiver on the bottom half of the screen running that route right there, which would be a perfect route if a Charger does run too deep, because now all Kyler has to do is just hit that receiver, and they're able to pick up the first down. It's 3rd down and 3 here, so you're not concerned about picking up as many yards as possible too much, you're really just trying to get the first down. So if you look at Kyler, he is looking up to the top half of the screen, trying to see if that receiver that he wants to hit will be open. However, he realizes that the Chargers linebackers are moving pretty far deep. But he also has another receiver right there, so that's the guy that he should hit. But look how he does get off his first read, gets to his second read, and makes a good throw. I mean, that, again, it's good football. It's what you like to see out of your quarterback. That's why you spent the first overall pick on him. Kind of why a lot of people are so high on him is the fact that not only can he run, which we'll get into that in a second, but he can also just be a great pocket passer like you saw right there. But oh yeah, he definitely can run. And not to mention, they don't just have him run by himself, he's not just scrambling out there. They will have designed runs, and this one was one of them. It's going to be play action, but then Kyler is going to take it to the bottom half of the screen. And also what Arizona is doing is they're going to pull their tight end over to the bottom half of the screen to make sure that he's blocking for Kyler. You might be saying, well, what's the point of that? Why not just keep him inside the pocket? And the point of that is because they're actually going to be running a hook route right over there on the bottom half of the screen as well. So this is going to actually give Kyler a better angle since he'll be closer to the bottom half of the screen. It is kind of taking away your options in a sense because you can't really throw it to the top half of the screen. However, it also gives certain options a better chance of working. So that's kind of the trade-off, so to speak. And this is actually a great situation for Arizona since it is going to be a cover 3. This can definitely allow that receiver running a hook route to basically get in between the safety who's deep and the linebacker who's shallow. That's the way this play is supposed to work. It's certainly a good situation, and take a look at what happens once this ball is snapped. For one thing, Los Angeles' defensive line does end up falling for it, so now Kyler Murray has plenty of time to be trying to make a throw. But one thing that you guys know will bother me is we saw how long Kyler Murray had in that moment of running down to the bottom half of the screen, yet he still is going to throw this ball on the run. He makes a good on-to-run throw, so we shouldn't blame him too much for it, but at the same time, I do think that rookie quarterbacks, you want to get your feet planted and your shoulders square if possible. I know you're a good enough player that you can still make those throws on the run 90% of the time, but you can make those throws standing up 95% of the time, and if you have the opportunity to stand up, that's what you should do. You know, I brought the same thing up in my Drew Lock video. A lot of people said, well, he didn't have the time to do that, but he really did in that video, and Kyler Murray did here. He had plenty of time to just stop and make the throw while his shoulders were square. He had the time, he just didn't do it because he wanted to get as far to the bottom half of the screen as possible. I'd rather have just a slightly worse angle, but have your shoulder square. The chances of you converting that pass are a lot greater. And the angle also wasn't bad. I'm not saying don't run to the bottom half of the screen. I'm just saying right before you do throw, just get your feet square. We've already seen Kyler Murray does have incredible footwork, so I know he can do it. That's just, again, it's a total quibble. The reality is, I think that play goes to show how good of an athlete he is. But again, you know, we hold these guys to high standards. You get drafted with the first overall pick, I'm going to hold you to a high standard because I expect greatness from you. It is a nitpick, it totally is. I'm not even arguing that it's not. I'm just saying it's a little thing I noticed. It's something that drives me crazy that I want young players to not do as much. But at the same time, I will absolutely acknowledge it was an incredibly well-run play by Murray, and it was an incredibly athletic play by Murray. Don't let my negativity on one part of that play take away my positivity on the rest of it. I mean, being able to make that accurate of a throw on the run is still incredibly impressive. And this guy can make accurate throws consistently. Like on this one, it's going to be a cover 3 zone once again, and what they're doing is they're going to have a receiver run an out route, you know, right over there, just basically in that gap in coverage. It's a great route to run against this coverage, and so that's why they're doing it. And so what you're going to see once this ball is snapped and the play develops is that there is going to be a window, but it is not a huge window by any means. I mean, you see, once again, kind of similar to that first play where he is open, but this time the two Chargers who are in that area are definitely a lot closer. So it's not a great angle, but also there's a lot less separation this time. So this is a tough throw for Kyler to make. But again, he makes a great throw, and also, that Cardinals receiver right there, man, you gotta just make that catch and get out of bounds. He took a hit. Don't make the catch and just stand on the sideline. That's how you get clobbered. But the reality is, I thought that was a really well done play by Kyler and by the Cardinals offense. And you know, going back to my first point for a second, one thing I said was that, listen, I don't know if it's the right move to draft Kyler Murray first overall instead of maybe drafting Nick Bosa first overall and then just keeping Josh Rosen. But I do know that it's the exciting move to do this. I mean, the Cardinals are just a lot more fun with Kyler Murray out there. They're fun to watch, and they're going to be interesting to look at going into this season. And I would bet that that's where a lot of Cardinals fans sit as well, where it's like, hey, maybe it won't work out and we will have screwed up massively, but maybe it will work out and then we'll have a great quarterback, so that's a risk we're willing to take. So hopefully it'll work out, but at least it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And one way it's fun to watch is just with crazy plays like this one. It's going to be a play action, and then Kyler Murray is going to keep the ball himself and run up to the top half of the screen. So okay, you're thinking, alright, traditional RPO, nothing too crazy there, but watch what happens after this fact. The way this is supposed to work, at least on paper, is that Kyler Murray is going to try to draw that Charger in. Because if he does get that Charger to move closer to him and try to, you know, make a tackle, then Kyler can simply just flip it over to Fitzgerald on the top half of the screen. Because then what they'll do is have a receiver go out and block that Charger right there. Fitzgerald can run around him and potentially even get a touchdown or at least a big gain. However, the one main way this play didn't really work out was that the Charger who was supposed to run in and try to tackle Murray kind of just didn't. He did a good job of staying where he was supposed to be. That's Desmond King. He did a great job on that one. He was just aware of where he had to be. He didn't get fooled, and he was able to run up and make a tackle. So the play didn't really work out the way it was supposed to on paper, but hey, you know, it's a fun play and it's kind of cool to see. You can blame Murray if you want to. To me, that was just a player making a great play. But again, these kind of plays can absolutely work in the NFL as we're seeing more and more. Now, it's not going to have the consistency that it does in college, but it can still have some consistency and it can still work from time to time. Also, 44 right there did a good job of staying in that area and making sure he could potentially make a tackle on Murray. So really just a great play by that Chargers defense. You know, I do kind of wonder if just the Chargers going up against Lamar Jackson twice last year kind of got them in position to say, okay, make sure you're always in your gap no matter what. Make sure you don't get fooled by these types of plays. That could have helped them against the Cardinals on that play. Who knows? But either way, it was just kind of fun to see. One other fun to see play was this one. It's going to be a cover 2 zone. And what the Cardinals are going to do is have a receiver, once again, try to get in between that gap right over there in the cover 2. However, this play isn't going to work out too well right at the start of it, largely because of the offensive line. Now, as you see right there, the right tackle is getting beat by number 40 there of the Chargers, you know, and that happens. Every now and then an edge rusher is able to break over to that edge, so what do you do if you're a tackle? Well, it's no big deal. You just try to push him past Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray can step up in the pocket. It's not the end of the world. However, it's hard to step up in the pocket when you also have a guard losing his own one-on-one matchup pretty severely. So for Kyler, he's in total trouble here. But watch what he's going to do here. I mean, he rolls out of the pocket and just makes a tremendous throw on the run for them to be able to pick up some positive yards, even though it actually didn't end up counting because the receiver stepped out. But, Kyler can't really control that. It was far from a perfect play, but as a whole, I mean, that's probably the most promising thing you will see if you're a Cardinals fan was that play. Because think about it, why were people like me concerned about the Cardinals drafting Kyler Murray first overall? Well, because of their offensive line. Their offensive line play just has not been good these past couple of years. I know they made some improvements this past offseason, but I'm still not going to buy a bunch of stock in the Cardinals offensive line. I still think it's one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Maybe it'll be better than last year, but with all due respect, that's not really saying too much. It just wasn't that good last year. But seeing him be able to move outside the pocket like that, I mean, that definitely gives you confidence. We all knew Kyler was a great runner. He was a great runner in college, but it's kind of just nice to see that, okay, maybe he can be that way in the NFL as well. But it should be mentioned that the offensive line play in that preseason game didn't do him a lot of favors. Like on this play, really want to take a look at both tackles. So, okay, if one tackle is kind of struggling, if an edge rusher is kind of beating up on you, well, what will you do? Well, you'll have your halfback just chip one of them, which is what's going to happen here. So, okay, you're going to help your right tackle out here. No big deal. However, look at Arizona's left tackle here. I mean, he doesn't even get a hand on his assigned man. Meanwhile, moving back over to the right side, I mean, again, that's just total domination. What can you really do if you're Kyler Murray? And well, first I'll tell you what you should not do. What you should not do is try to get around this play. At this point, the ball is dead. You're going to get hit. There's no doubt about it. So he's just going to go down and avoid a hit. I mean, that's good. That's what you want to see. He protected himself there. That definitely won't show up on a stat sheet, but you know what? That's really something you want to see out of a young quarterback. Someone who isn't afraid to go down in certain situations and just say, you know what, I'll take a sack. We'll lose a couple of yards. Fine, whatever. I don't want to get injured, so I'll just fall down. That's something you see Tom Brady do all the time, and it's smart. I mean, you don't want to get hit. You don't want to hurt yourself. We can talk all day long about what Kyler Murray is going to bring to that Cardinals offense. However, he can't help them at all if he's injured. So, you have to stay healthy, and that's really promising for Cardinals fans to see, oh, Kyler Murray, he can keep himself healthy. That's good. So, yeah, that was some plays from the first game. I thought Kyler Murray looked fine. I mean, he looked basically what Kyler Murray looks like, what I would have expected him to do. I think we all figured he would be able to use his legs to still be effective at the NFL level, but it was kind of cool to see him put that into action. We'll have to just basically wait and see what happens. It is only one preseason game, but it is, a little promising to see that, okay, the things he was able to do in college, he's going to pick up where he left off. He can still do those things, even though it is a much higher quality of football.